So my name is Emil. I'm one of the co-founders of BIOS, and we're a full-stack neural interface company. So that's quite a technological word, and we have quite a deep and quite complex mission. So my aim over the next sort of 5 minutes is to unpack the three things that we try and do as a startup. We are really about open standard neural interfaces for chronic health. So trying to have the same impact that open source technology like Linux, like whatever, has had on the tech space, but for chronic health, which is lifetime, very expensive, very painful, life-changing health conditions. So everything from limb loss, like James here, through to heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, asthma, etc. And for a very specific reason, we believe and are starting to use the nervous system, so the network of nerves going from our brain to the rest of our body, to unlock a new way of really treating these kind of conditions. So the reason first of the reasons that this is quite important to do, and why a lot of our team spend many years, many hours, many days trying to build technologies like this, is because when you develop a treatment for chronic disease, you reduce pain, you reduce the cost of caring for someone, and these days, 86% of all our spending in healthcare is on chronic diseases. So we spend $21 trillion globally on health, and most of this is on chronic diseases. So it's like a never-ending battle against the decline of aging bodies, and every single person who gets a chronic disease, whether it's the twinge of arthritis you get as you start to get slightly older and can't do sport anymore, through to the final failing beats of your heart, it really impacts yourself, your family, your way of life, your ability to work, and then the entire kind of social care ecosystem that is really struggling already. So it's a really important thing to focus on. And what we're hoping for is just increased empowerment, both for the clinicians and for the patients, and overall better health. So the first thing that I want to kind of explain in a bit deeper sense is the nervous system and why it's really important. And first of all, I wanted to sort of frame that by showing you the scale of the team that we have in our company. So it's actually gone up slightly. We now have 30 full-time people, ex-NASA, ex-CERN, the big physics experiments in Switzerland. People leave that to join our company. And then also people who've been developing amazing surgical implants for the past 30 years. This has become the new major health tech project, and it's really fantastic to be able to lead and work with these people every day. So I sort of say this to my co-founder, Ollie, because we started the company 4 years ago in a garage in Cambridge when we were researchers. The fact that these people have voted with their feet says there must be something that we're doing that is quite important and quite fundamental and really quite interesting. And basically it's this. So the nervous system is something that we all have. We think of neural interface companies. We have some sort of competitor/friend companies like Neuralink, like Kernel, and we've known them for as long as they've been in existence. We all kind of actually meet up for dinner every 3 months. We know each other across the pond. And what makes us different is we've always focused on trying to make this useful, and the way we think about that is attaching sort of computer machinery and code to the edges of the nervous system. And that's the point of the original brain. The original brain, the 500 million year old reptile brain, was evolved because they started having these really complicated things within it, and the brain evolved to keep it in check. So while Elon Musk or whoever would like to upload us to the internet or let us text our friends, we think great, but let's start by helping the 500 million year old bit of us that is struggling to keep up as we get older, as we start to do far less healthy things. And I'm going to be quite quick, but effectively, the cool thing about this is just like an internet connection. So when you look at the research out there, effectively, the edges of our body are a bit like having a kind of fast dial-up connection through to broadband. The core of our spine is sending information back and forth, whether it's feelings, so sensations, control of organs, subconscious control and settings. All that information is flowing back and forth. So there's like a 500 million year old internet code. And if we can go and find it, actually what really a lot of science and research has found is it's these signals that our body is using to stay healthy. And for the past 20 years, a lot of research has realized that the really effective drugs, so the ones that are working in everything from asthma through to arthritis care through to diabetes, is effectively not touching the organ, it's changing the way the nerves work around the organ. So we go, okay, if there's an internet connection, we're currently throwing chemicals all over the body to change one signal somewhere. We could do this in a more smart way. And if you think about it, this is already happening today because people have pacemakers, people have stimulators for their brain. This is all, it looks scary, but it's all effectively 60-year-old technology. So where is the gap and what could be done? And really the gap is that you could think about your body like the edge of the internet of everything. You could connect up to everything else and you could start to use software to treat organs, really what would be possible. And science, you don't need to understand the slide, but there's a lot of science out there. So for the past 10 years, we've realized that you can treat arthritis, you can control blood pressure without drugs, actually in France 2 years ago, a brain-dead patient was woken up just by sending signals, zaps to the brainstem. So scientifically, we've realized this is super powerful. It does actually work in isolated settings. Our mission is, how do we scale it? And to scale it, we have to hit 3 problems: data, tools, and basically the fact that everything's very locked down, mainly for safety reasons. And wave at me if I'm going too fast or too slow, but I need to just... Effectively, what we first developed about 3 years ago was a very, very fast bionic implant. So computer technology that is super fast that can live in the body. So like a pacemaker with an AI chip inside it and complicated electronics that's made so simple that even a surgeon could fit it. That was our first achievement 2.5 years ago as a company, so 2 years into the life of our company. We then started to just out-generate the world in terms of data about the nervous system. So we said, if there's a neural code, if it's like an internet connection, we should learn it and decode it. And we started doing that, and now we're the largest generator of data today in the world. And we started to power discovery for other people with open data sets. So we started to give the best researchers around the world this data in their hands, tools to decode it. This young gentleman here is called Tris. He works for us, and he helps make sure that researchers from NYU, Cambridge, and actually many other places farther afield can do discovery. And then the final step is to help decode some of this stuff with some AI. And that means that it becomes much easier to understand because the neural signals go very, very fast, and it's very, very noisy. So where do we take it today? Right now, we've been building an implant for amputees, which means that they can have all this technology just sitting on the end of their limb. And it'll be just like having a USB port. So it lives with them, it really understands their nervous system, it can do many things in terms of giving them feelings back into their body, and they can pick any device. And our hope for the future is that instead of having to go back every 5 years and ask for a product, they'll eventually be able to walk into a shop like URI, and the product will actually just work for them. And finally, we think of this as the very, very start of what is a big change in the way health is treated. There's something on the screen, so I can't go next. So next, really, we're working with partners from all over the world to put algorithms into new products. So whether it's about an AI pacemaker through to people developing better drugs because we're seeing the nervous system work, that's sort of become the future for our company. That's sort of us, really. That's BIOS. Thanks.
That was fantastic. Thanks. I mean, you pretty much covered every single thing I was going to ask you about. So, and you did it in a very short period of time as well. So that's
Thanks very much.
That's all right. What struck me when you were talking, like how much of a problem have you guys had with regulations? Like, what kind of hurdles do you need to jump through to make this a company that is, or products that are used by everyone and available to everyone?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. So we think of the regulations both as the biggest barrier to kind of rapid innovation, but also as the tool to do so. So the reason we talk about making open standards is I can afford to hire a very, very capable team, and then we'll write effectively a rule book for, along with the regulators, along with insurance companies, and trying to show how this technology can be safe. So it is the biggest barrier, but also at the same time, it's kind of like blue ocean. We've started to, as of about last year, we launched this big international standard on how to develop really high-powered neurotech. And then we've done some smaller initiatives with the NHS and similar on the use of data. So it is the barrier, but it's also the opportunity.
How long do you think it's going to take until this is far more widely adopted?
So our first product, the amputee product, we're starting to recruit for, and so we'll have hopefully some patients who are enjoying benefits from that next year, which for us has been a very long journey. but now we're starting to see it. All of the research there is coming from patients who've been tested in research labs around the world. So for the past 10 to 15 years, the odd 1 or 2 people have been able to benefit from some advance. So it's sort of already there. Our mission is to see, could we get it to 1 million people within 8 years, or 10 million people within 10 years? Those sort of timeframes are possible. The hundreds of thousands within 3 to 5 is also possible.
The other thing I was thinking when I was listening to your presentation is, you see in sci-fi films, right? Oh, there's a film I saw recently about a guy who gets an implant in his neck, and it's like...
This is Upgrade, is that
Yes,
right?
Upgrade. I saw it recently. It's a good film.
Yeah.
It's a good film. What role do you think you guys have in helping educate people about some of the dangers and really helping people understand that you intend to do good rather than the potential for misuse?
I think so our mission is to develop big open standards, a lot of visibility for people. We already have trouble with even normal technology about the fact that we don't know where our data goes, we don't know what decisions are being made, and we believe very strongly that once that impacts your health, it could impact your employability or your insurability. It should be your data first, it should be your system first. The product shouldn't be sending things about you to third parties, and we develop a whole suite of technologies to do so. The reason this is more than just a nice to have is that even today, things like pacemakers from big companies can already be hacked and wirelessly reprogrammed. And so some of the things we've been trying to educate them about or work with them to develop is techniques to actually make the current product safer. But it's a really important thing to get ahead of.
Mm. Are there any conditions that your company is best at solving or best at helping improve?
Yeah, so we definitely started about 5 years ago trying to focus on the amputee community because they're very underserved in terms of the interfacing technology. So neurotech for amputees is something that was an early adopter thing that we could develop for. Ever since then, we've really expanded our capability. We haven't yet released what our full range of products will be, but we're looking at a lot of lifestyle conditions, and we have the largest data sets in that space. We have some of the most productive research programs in that space globally. I hope that, so my grandmother is about 85, within her remaining life, could we have a treatment that would be addressable to her, possibly, like very, very late stage, very, very critical conditions. I would really like to see that happen. And it's not just about, whether it's a heart or a pancreas, it's just at what stage of life could this be the option for you? And eventually we think this becomes everyone over 60 or over 50 thinks about doing this because it could be multiple diseases that you just tackle with one product and lots of software.
I wish we had more time to talk.
But we're out of time.
We are out of time, unfortunately. But thank you very much for presenting and meeting you. It was an absolute pleasure.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks.